Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, I wanted to discuss resources in Honkai Star Rail, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So I have seen a few videos regarding the resource problem in Honkai Star Rail regarding on how it may feel very constricting once you get to a certain point in the game, which for most people seems to be TL50. Now, I am TL50 myself, and I do personally feel like I experience a bit of constraint on how much I could do each day, but ultimately it comes down to, I suppose, what I'm grinding for in the game. So let's say I dedicate a day to farming traces. I'm guaranteed those traces, which is awesome. I'm guaranteed whatever I'm trying to grind for, except for the relics. I feel like a lot of people, and even including myself, relic grinding is quite painful when you cannot ensure those double relics yet until you are around TL 60, if I'm not mistaken. I have seen a few people get to 60. They have said that they get double relics. And at that point, I feel like that's a pretty good playing ground for relic farming. Now, the question is though, what do you do between 40 to 50 to even once before you get to 60? And I've been noticing personally what I would possibly recommend is trying to just level up your characters, but keep a constraint of how many characters you level up. So on my personal account, I did level up quite a few characters because I was like, oh, I want to use this character, I want to use this character, I want to use a bunch of characters. A bunch of us, I'm sure, want to use numerous characters. The only issue with this is that you will feel like you do not have enough resources to upkeep all these characters, which will happen since you're trying to commit a bunch of resources into a bunch of characters and you do not have the ability, or rather the way, to farm enough to upkeep all of these characters in a timely fashion. But we also have to consider that the game has been only out for roughly a month now, so I wouldn't expect anyone to truly have super endgame like teams, like a fully built out team just yet. If you have, I want to know how. Since me personally, I have been able to level up, I would say, not to say they're fully built, but my Zila, my Himiko, and my Jingyuin are pretty built for the most part, where I am pretty satisfied with what they're able to do. And I think the breaking point, or rather the point where we should be moving on one character for our next, is when we are satisfied with said character. So for your DPS characters, I completely understand trying to invest more into these characters. They are your main damage dealers. Your main damage dealers are what matter in order to clear a lot of content, such as MOC, which is Memory of Chaos. A lot of people are not able to actually get stars on Memory of Chaos yet, due to the fact that you need to have these built out teams or built out characters. Now, I have been able to 2-star some of them, not all of them, of course, because I don't frequently play it, since I rather just upgrade my characters first and then take a shot at it. But what I have noticed is that once you have a decent roster or a decent team built up, or rather have a team that you feel confident in, then I feel like it is okay to challenge those modes or feel like, okay, I'm ready for this mode. Since a lot of people may compare their accounts to not being able to get stars on MOC and say that they do not have enough to what it takes to clear this content. You eventually will be able to have enough resources, which once you are TL50, you may feel it as well, which if people are TL50, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel like you are restricted with your resources? Me personally, it is a very 50-50. Relic grinding is horrible. I'm just going to point that out there. It's really bad if you do not get what you want, which, I mean, it comes down to it. It is a gacha game, so it's going to happen. And I try not to complain about that too much. I just kind of meme on it. And if I get a really bad relic, I'm just going to show it to my friends and be like, look at this awesome relic I got. And then it'll be one of the most god-awful relics you have ever seen. But I just think it's funny at the end of the day. But when it comes to relic grinding, personally, what I've experienced, I would not recommend relic grinding, at least heavily, until like your traces and like your level ups and all of that is handled. Because how I see it, maybe it's a very simplistic mentality about it, but it's more like I see it as, if this is a thing that's guaranteed, why am I not doing the guaranteed thing first and then gambling with the RNG? The RNG being relics, the guaranteed being my traces, my level ups, and so on. Like, I'd rather get a character to 60 to 70 in a day or two, or maybe 3 days max, whatever, over farming for one relic piece for a week, which by the way, I've done both of these, and my preference is to get that level 70 over farming relics. I've been very, very adamant about trying to get certain relic pieces, and it does create a feeling where you may feel like, okay, I'm just not advancing, or I'm just not doing something right. Of course, if you feel that way, that's completely fine. I get it. I hate getting relics that aren't great either, but at the end of the day, I don't believe we're at the point yet where our teams should somehow be fully, completely built. Not to mention, there are players who refresh, there's players who don't refresh. If you're one of the players who don't refresh, I don't think you should fully expect like everything to be built out just yet. I mean, the game's, once again, it's been out for about a month now. So taking your time is never a bad thing. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people I know do not really have many quests left because we are a month in. Completely get that. I think I only have like 2 left, but it's because I'm kind of lazy and I don't feel like doing them at times. But when it comes to resources, easy ways, I guess, to feel like, okay, maybe I'm not wasting my resources or wasting my trailblazer power or wasting my time, might be when we get more events that give us more resources. It may help out because then we have more to work with. Since currently we do have that one event, and the resources I believe that we do get are pretty nice. It's decent for the most part. Of course, there will be players who feel like they may be stuck, which happens because once you get to a certain point, it'll be more so reliant on how you spend your power, which what I would recommend spending power once again is your level ups, your traces, things that are guaranteed, because you're 100% then guaranteeing that you are advancing your character somehow. Whether the skill does more damage, whether the ultimate does more damage, and so on. So overall, I feel like it just depends on how you perceive the resources. I do still think that it is a little bit limiting, to be fair. There are ways to mitigate that feeling, which once we get more events, I'm sure that feeling will be less frequent because of how many events we'll be getting. Because I'm pretty sure once 1.1 comes around, we'll likely be getting more events, we'll get more resources for characters, and also just to keep in mind, I would recommend just focus on a very few amount of characters at a time, because then it'll help your focus more with, okay, let's upgrade Su Shang's talents today, or let's upgrade Jing Yin's talents today. I think that'll kind of help, and at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun with the game, that is truly what matters. But of course, I understand where people are coming from both sides regarding this. And while it does feel constricting, possibly having a resource management plan of how you want to go about your resources, because personally, I need to do this myself since I do feel from time to time I don't have enough resources in order to do what I want to do in the game. But if I create this little plan, maybe just a little in my notes section on my phone, I might just put, okay, let's get traces for this character today. And since it's guaranteed, there we go. So that's just personally how I feel about the topic. It is time consuming to get your characters up, but at the same time, I don't think we should fully expect that our characters should be maxed out within a day or two. And when we get future characters, a smart way to possibly go about it is if you know you want a character, you know you're pulling for them, possibly pre-farming what they need can always be a good thing to do, because then once they're here, you're good to go. You can immediately use the character, the potential you want them to be at, and I think it'll be all good. These, of course, are just my personal thoughts on the matter. Of course, I get it once again from both sides, and let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about it. Do you guys feel like the resources are a bit too constricting and we need more events, or do you guys feel like the resources are okay? And are you more so a casual player, or do you play the game for numerous hours a day? I would love to know these things just so we can all have a discussion about this topic, since I do think this topic is very interesting for us to just go into and have an idea of what do we feel about this sort of topic. And yeah, I hope all of you though have a nice one. If you want to see more Honkai Star Rail content from me, maybe my guides, maybe more discussions, whatever it is, make sure to subscribe for that. And I hope all of you have a nice one. Peace.